Good evening and welcome to the Fairfield Board of Education School Board meeting on this Groundhog's Day, February 2nd, 2023. Mrs. Lane, will you call the roll?
Sure. Mr. Begley?
Here.
Ms. Birding?
Here.
Mr. Clark?
Present.
Mrs. Gundrum?
Here.
Mrs. Shorter?
Perfect. Ms. Birding, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, he is headed to the podium, ready for the State of the District. Superintendent Smith. Guess Mr. Clark has the stopwatch.
The level of excitement around the district today is just unprecedented. So many people just asking about tonight's meeting, how long will it be? I don't know if we want to call this a kinder, gentler presentation, but I'm thinking around 30 minutes. So I'm going to try really hard not to get off script and, tell any kind of stories, because that's usually what puts me behind. So we'll see how it goes. And I hope you didn't start the timer yet. All right. So we're ready to jump right in. State of the district. Start off by talking a little bit about some big picture goals for the district, and you can see those up there. Meeting the needs of the whole child, safe, secure, positive environment for students and staff members, and community engagement. Almost everything we do falls under one of those three goals. So goal number one, meet the needs of the whole child. We want to meet the individual needs of every single student in the areas of achievement, growth, and social emotional learning. Goal two, provide a safe, secure, and positive environment for our students and staff members. And number three revolves around engaging our students, parents, and community members. We do this by maintaining the great relationships we already have, forming new ones, serving the community, and telling our story. So inside those goals, we have action steps. First, talk about focus on teaching and learning. Again, we work very hard to provide the very best educational experience for all of our students. So prior to the start of this school year, we once again emphasized the focus this year would be all about teaching and learning, and that was consistent with the previous year. And if you remember, we talked about this post-COVID. We spent so much time talking about COVID and protocols and procedures, which was very important. But at some point, we had to make a shift to get back to teaching and learning, and in order to try to close those gaps. So not long after the start of this school year, the district was rewarded with a very strong report card from the Ohio Department of Education. And I've said it a million times, we should never be defined by that report card. But there's always things that we can take away from that report card. This year it was especially rewarding for our staff members to receive that positive news about those results as they work so hard to close the gaps. Especially proud of the fact that we had the best report card, the most stars, 18, of what I call the bigs in Butler County, which was awesome. And in addition, when you take it statewide, we were in the top third when compared to similar districts as identified by ODE. Next, I want to talk about building visits. That's something that we started last year, maybe 2 years ago, just again in order to keep that focus on teaching and learning, getting into the buildings. Mrs. Aug, Dr. Rice, and I going around visiting with the building administrative teams twice a year, once in the fall, once in the spring, with an emphasis on teaching, data, intervention, enrichment plans, etc. So we completed that round one back in the fall, and we already have our round two visits scheduled in the spring. Mental health services and supports, we continue to be proud of our work in this area. I've said this a million times as well, students will not thrive academically if they are not well. So this work continues to be critical. We've done a great job closing gaps with so many of our kids, but it seems like, we have a hard time keeping up with the needs of our kids. I know we have this one program we piloted this year at Creekside, and you will probably hear about that at a later date. But we have 45 students on the waiting list there in that program. It's only at Creekside this year because it's a pilot. And again, you'll hear about that later. I don't want to add on to my stopwatch over there. Safety and security. Again, going back to that's the most important priority for us. We have an outstanding relationship with our city and township first responders. We have safety and security plans. We work closely with those first responders. Those plans continue to evolve as things just continue to change around us. School safety update presentation was given to the Board of Education and the community back in September. We have the Raptor management system new this year. It notifies us if a visitor is on a predator list. It will also record every visitor entrance and allow our building administrators to determine at any given time who is in the building and where they are. So we've received great feedback on that system from our parents due to having that in our buildings this year. All of our secondary schools have established a threat assessment team. That was a requirement. The goal of that team is to identify students of concern, assess their risk for engaging in violence or other harmful activities, and identify intervention strategies to manage that risk. Our elementary schools are not required to have that team or have that training, but our elementary principals have been trained on that program as well. Community appreciation. Just back in October, we hosted Community Appreciation Night, recognizing, celebrating the relationships we have with the city and township elected officials, administrators, and the Board of Education. And then we have another event coming up in March, the State of the Community Luncheon. We get great feedback from all of the participants each and every year. Very proud of the fact that FCSD is the organization that has brought us together. So looking forward to that event next month. Recognizing and celebrating our staff members. We started a new tradition during COVID, recognizing our excellent essential employees. We continue that tradition. I think last time we did it was in December, and we'll be doing that again soon. We also continue to make videos for our staff members and community members. Superintendent sit-downs. I know I did one of the most popular ones was with our SROs. And I even had several employees come up to me and say, hey, I'm so glad that we did that video because I only knew their names and I never knew who was where and who was who. Just our district is so large, it's good for people to be able to put names with faces. And then Mrs. Ogg made her debut on one of those videos because we wanted to highlight our state report card results, both with our staff and our community. And then last, Back to School Bash. Last August, this event just continues to get larger and larger. I know that several people up here love to hear those stats. 700 backpacks, 1,200 hot dogs, 1,200 bottles of water, 50 haircuts, 100 horse rides, and 750 donuts. So it's just a beautiful thing to see for 3 hours just serving our community. And that event gets bigger because the needs of our students and our families just continues to grow as well. All right, now I'm going to move on to some highlights. It's not always about the test scores. So opening day 2022, this was the official beginning to the best school year ever. That's one of my favorite days. I know some of you feel the same way. And then right after that is another favorite day, back to school, when the kids come back to school. It's okay, Nancy. We're running behind. I'm trying, this is me going rapid fire to try to get us through because Nancy stays on me about the length as well. All right, so back to school, I say it every year. Everyone just cannot wait for the kids to come back because you're in the buildings, you're going to meetings, you're making sure everything's perfect, and then boom, 10,000 of them show up at once, and it's just awesome. So once we get started into the year, up next, we were so proud of the fact that 4 of our students from our high school selected for the Ohio Attorney General's Teen Ambassador Board. Seniors Ryan Bunting and juniors Owen Crawley, Devin Duncan, and Benedict Akai were selected because of their interest in law and government and will serve a one-year term. Up next, we have our Friday Night Light Squad. Many of us love Friday nights, especially in the fall, and I can't tell you how many times we get positive emails and letters from people who come to the games, or especially referees who just go on and on about this crew. Just make it the very best environment for everyone on Friday night. So super proud of them. Celebrating our support system, this is Nina Rose. We were honored to present her with the key to the district for all her work with the Back to School Bash. We couldn't do what we do on that day without her leadership. Seeking input to make decisions. Over the years, we received a lot of questions from our families about, hey, would it be possible to ever have the entire week off at Thanksgiving so that we can travel out of town, so on and so forth. The district used to do that maybe 20 years ago or so. And so we decided to seek some input, put a survey out there. It was overwhelming. So as a result, next year we will go to that full week at Thanksgiving, and then we will revisit it, let them experience it, and see if they'd like to continue moving forward with that week. Never forget 9/11. Every year, South Elementary students and staff commemorate the tragic events of 9/11. This year they honored their local first responders during a flag ceremony, and South also celebrated their 50th anniversary. Just a very special event. If you've never been, I would encourage you to at least go once to experience it. This one up next, I love this one. This was our first shout out of the year. This is a letter from a parent. It said, "This lady was so wonderful, modeling the way my kindergartner needs to cross the street. It was beautiful to see how patient and thorough she was with my kiddo. I forgot to get her name, but I wanted to make sure the district knew how wonderful the transportation did on the first day. Shout out to the driver as well." This employee is Joanne Birch. And as we have said on many occasions, these types of things are happening every day across the entire district. We just don't always hear about them. Up next, so excited to celebrate one of our students at the high school, Karen Kaganda, as she earned a gold medal at the AXO regional level and a bronze medal at the AXO national level. And then up next, talking about South Elementary earning a state bronze award for PBIS. And PBIS establishes a social culture and the behavior supports needed to improve social, emotional, behavioral, and academic outcomes for all students. And you know, over the years, we've had multiple schools do a presentation about their PBIS programming. Up next, celebrating our partnership with Mercy Health. We talk about the importance of maintaining those relationships. We do have a great one with Mercy Health. Here's a picture of our AD, Aaron Blankenship, Justin Kruger, CEO of Mercy Health Fairfield, and Dr. Mahmoud Al-Masri, our Mercy Health team physician for Fairfield Athletics. Up next, we were excited to celebrate the academic achievements of 10 students who either qualified as semifinalists in the 2023 National Merit Scholarship Competition or were recipients of awards from the College Board National Recognition Program. One trend I do want to mention there is, if you've noticed, those numbers have continued to grow every year, and so we were up to 10 this year. All right, up next, congratulations to Paul, Nathaniel, Ben, Mateo, and Lucas for being chosen to represent FCSD as members of the Cincinnati Junior Youth Ensemble. That ensemble rehearses and performs at UC's College Conservatory of Music. Staying with the theme of music, up next, back in September, our marching band performed in a competition. They were selected as finalists and finished 9th overall in an extremely competitive field of 23 outstanding bands. As you know, our marching band has a long history of excellence, and this year was no different. Up next, you see that superintendent sit down with SROs. Again, briefly already talked about. One of the funniest, I can't even remember at this point, but Officer Mack from Creekside. I don't know what he did at the end. I don't know if I think he gave me a big hug, and those guys were awesome. And again, just want to always take advantage of any opportunity we have to thank our SROs. Up next, we have Mr. Perfect. We were excited to recognize and celebrate Mr. Perfect, Caden McCullum, for his perfect score of 36 on the ACT. And then up next, every year, Fairfield leads the fight against cancer. This year was no different. Our students and staff members came together to raise funds to support Donna Wolf, an employee at West who is still fighting lymphoma. Up next, we'll talk a little bit about communication. During October, our district was proud to launch, and I know we talked about it at a board meeting, I think Mrs. Aug did, a phone messaging system that allows our multilingual families to call us with questions and concerns regarding their students. This is just another example of the district going above and beyond to try to eliminate some of those barriers. Family STEAM Night at North. Here you see some of those pictures. Students and families had some amazing opportunities to learn about science, technology, engineering, the arts, and mathematics. Up next, the class of 22 at FHS Athletics Hall of Fame. This was during homecoming weekend. It's always a special night to see some of these individuals come back to their hometown, see them recognized by their former teammates, coaches, and loved ones. It's really cool. Some of those folks haven't been back since they graduated. It's been decades for some of them. It's really cool to see them come back to town. Homecoming weekend in general, one of my favorites. I know one of yours as well. Once again, amazing. The parade, the game, the dance, the class reunions, right up to the Hall of Fame banquet on Sunday. It was an amazing weekend. We were once again blessed with great weather. Continuing with the homecoming theme, we had a very special pep rally for our kids at the high school. It was dedicated to senior Will Davis, who was battling leukemia. The reason that it was different, there were representatives from the Hawksworth Blood Center and the Make-A-Wish Foundation were there. They were there because Will had the opportunity to make a wish through the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Instead of wishing for a trip or some kind of adventure for himself, he wished for a month-long Fairfield Community Blood Drive to help others, to help other people like him. Once again, we're so proud of Will and all of our students and staff who have rallied to support him. Hope Squad collaboration. This was also at homecoming that night. The Hope Squads from Fairfield and Lakota West joined forces to spread an awareness about mental health and suicide prevention during the football game. So the coolest part about that is those kids gave up their night in the student section, which is a really big deal for them to educate and support their peers. Community conversations. This is something our district leadership team does twice a year, actually 4 times a year, twice in the fall, twice in the spring, twice in the city, twice in the township. And we made ourselves available in the fall, and we will be doing so in the spring again. National Principals Month. I love this picture. Some people were photoshopped in there, but that was October. I love it, celebrating all of our building principals and assistant principals. We're just so blessed to have so many outstanding leaders who put kids first across the district. Up next, you see Prevention Coalition making their way down to our middle schools to talk with our middle school students about prescription misuse. Critical message for our young students and very meaningful for them because when they hear it from high school students who they really look up to. That's one of the coolest things that the coalition does, and the middle school kids just love to talk and listen to the high school kids. Up next, going above and beyond FAFSA. So back in November, we've done this before. I love this. From 10 to 6, our high school hosted a FAFSA completion day, so for 8 hours. If you've ever been through that, you know it can be very stressful. If you haven't been, just wait for it. It's not awesome. But I love the fact that our high school staff gives an 8-hour window. Parents can come in, kids can sit down, and they can help them work through it. Up next, back in October, Butler Tech inducted 43 new members into the National Technical Honor Society. 10 of those inductees were Fairfield High School seniors enrolled in various programs on the township campus. Very proud of those students and our partnership with Butler Tech. Because of that partnership, our students have access to some amazing opportunities, and that's really what it's all about. Community appreciation, again, one of my favorite nights. I know I've said that probably 6 times already. I have a lot of favorites. But it's just a great night, bringing everyone in the community together and watching a football game. And again, you can see those blue skies in the background. I think the first time we did it, it was very cold and very rainy. So we've been very fortunate the last couple of years, but amazing night. Quality profile released. You do have a copy of that in your stack tonight. That's from 2022. Tell people if you want to learn about all the wonderful things, well, not all, but a lot, encourage them to check out the quality profile. It is available online, and like I said, you have a copy this evening. Up next, we have the Youth Advisory Council. Here's some pictures. If you remember, they visited at one of our board meetings, spoke to the board, and we were trying to plan a lunch meeting with them and some members of our team, and then at least 2 board members. Just sit down and have lunch and have some dialogue, get informal discussion about, how the Board of Education, what the Board of Education does and how they interact with the district leadership team and so on and so forth. So that will be happening in the near future. Up next, we have the Creekside NJHS induction, not injunction. That picture was taken there. If you've never been to one of those, that's really cool. You can see all those happy faces, and I promise you, all of the parents and guardians on the other side you also see a lot of happy faces and even some happy tears on the other side as well. So a really cool night. This is something very rare. It's rare to have a GMC Player of the Year or GMC Coach of the Year. And actually in women's volleyball, we had both. Henley Krause was named the GMC Player of the Year. Jesse Grimes was named GMC Coach of the Year. So congrats to that duo on that amazing accomplishment. Up next, middle school students go to Washington, D.C. Each year they have the opportunity to visit. They had a great trip once again this year, getting to visit all the sites in our nation's capital. Special edition soccer game at the end of October. Some of our EL students participated in an annual EL soccer game, complete with a pregame tailgate with pizza and soft drinks. There was also a special edition halftime show featuring coaches, teachers, and administrators participating in a penalty kickoff. FCSD report card presentation. Again, I've already mentioned that a few times this evening. Very proud of the results that our staff members earned. And again, that presentation was online. It was out there because we really want our community to be aware of our success and proud of all the wonderful accomplishments of our students and staff. Up next, our students and staff at East and North were excited to once again participate in the Veterans Day Parade in the township. In addition, we were also honored to recognize our own employees who have served during our annual Veterans Day luncheon on November 11th. Hot off the presses at Crossroads. This is a really cool thing. Many students from Crossroads are involved in a new club, and it's called Crossroads Chronicles. You have a copy of that as well. These students, under the leadership of 2 staff members, showcase school highlights in the school newspaper. So if you've never seen that, I encourage you to take a look. Up next, Board of Education goes to West Elementary. We did that in November. And we had a presentation from the Sunrise STEM Club, treated to some amazing hands-on activities in addition to a tasty snack. Up next, you see some pictures of something I mentioned earlier. Again, that is so much fun, going around the district, visiting people. They have no idea we're coming. We give them a certificate, a gift card, and a coupon for a free Jeans Week. And they love that, and we'll continue to do that. FHS students, around Thanksgiving, FHS chapter of Business Professionals of America showed their appreciation to first responders by serving them Thanksgiving dinner. Again, so thankful to our responders and so proud of our students who took the time to put something like that together for them. Student success, this is Paige Mahan. We were excited to celebrate her. It was determined she was eligible to compete for the National Merit Special Scholarship from the Fifth Third Foundation. Up next, we're going to talk about communication again. On December 1, during conference night, there was a parent information session for Ohio's College Credit Plus program. They were able to hear from representatives from Cincinnati State as well as Miami University. So if you've noticed, there's a trend there. Often we have evening conferences and some other event. When we know people are coming into the building, parents or guardians, we try to have some kind of other event while they're there so that they can come and take advantage of more than just evening conferences or whatever it is that is happening that night. All right, up next, we're talking about grit at North Elementary. In fact, you heard about that at one of our earlier board meetings. So during this assembly, students at North were visited by members of our men's and women's basketball team. We had some of our members of the Corps Show Choir and staff members as well, sharing their own personal stories about grit and overcoming adversity. Next, we have a superintendent sit down with the coalition. Again, just wanted to give those student leaders the opportunity to share their vision and mission with the community. Not everyone knows about the Fairfield Coalition, so it gave them, they actually asked not too long ago for an opportunity to do that, and we were happy to make that happen. Here we have Jennifer Moore, former FCSD Teacher of the Year and teacher at West, provided her students with a very unique opportunity. They connected virtually with another first grade classroom in Alabama. So they worked on their communication skills and had the opportunity to learn from students in another part of the country. This next one's a really cool story. So if you think about our student athletes, many times after school, they may go right to practice, or they may have a little window, then practice, and they skip meals, or they consume snacks, or consume unhealthy snacks before practices and games. So they started a food pantry to provide nutritional snacks for our student athletes prior to practices and games. We have the very generous donation from Hoist Hydration as well. But another example of people seeing a need and doing something about it. Fairfield Gives Back, the FHS baseball program, partnered with the high school PE classes to donate canned goods and holiday bags to Butler County Children's Services through Kohl's. And then when they decided to do that, unexpectedly, Kohl's then made a donation to the Alumni Baseball McRoberts Memorial Scholarship. Up next, Creekside gets a shout out. This is a really cool story. 40 students from Creekside ended up with a sign in the yard for having straight A's and no demerits. And each sign had congratulatory handwritten messages from staff members at Creekside. A parent wrote in to Dr. Franchini saying, "The whole family was so excited and you made my daughter's day. She was so excited to see the sign and read all of your notes." So once again, this stuff happens all of the time. We don't always hear about it, but this is really cool. And believe it or not, it's time for my concluding remarks. Under 30 minutes, thank you. So in conclusion, I believe the state of the district is very strong because of our people. As staff members, parents, and community members who work together to do what is in the best interest of all of our students. We have faced many challenges, and we know that we will continue to face many more. However, we will continue to strive to provide the very best educational experience for every single student who walks through our doors. And that is why the Fairfield City School District is such a special place. In closing, I want to thank the Board of Education for your support and leadership, because without your support, it wouldn't be possible for our employees to do what they do for our kids every single day. Thank you.
Thank you. Deserves a round of applause.
hope that wasn't too fast that you couldn't keep up.
Right.
But I'm only going fast for you guys. Thank you.
Questions or comments for Mr. Smith?
Start. That was absolutely fantastic. I mean, we've had so many great things in the past going on, and it's just very reaffirming to see that those trends continue and they get better and better. Congratulations, Mr. Smith and all the staff. You guys have definitely had the best year ever, so keep up the good work.
I always enjoy the state of the district. Well, I mean, I like the shorter ones better, but, you know, I've said before, as we go through meeting to meeting, you know, you see these great things and you go, wow, and then, you know, kind of goes to the back of your mind for a little while, and then when we go over it again at this, and you get to see all of it together, you're like, oh my gosh, my mind is blown. Because you saw it all, but now you're seeing it all together. And it's great to see everything tie in together and see all the progress, you know, in these large measurable increments rather than on a monthly or bi-weekly basis. So thank you all so much for all of your leadership and to the entire staff for all their excellent work.
So I agree. I am baffled and blown away every time. I mean, this is only my second one, but this was even better than last time. But it truly is remarkable getting this kind of like highlight snap reel of like the great things happening. And this doesn't even cover like a third of what we see on a daily basis happening. But it's truly remarkable. I'm so thankful to be part of this district and to be part of this leadership team that is doing such a great job for our community. So thank you guys so much.
Well, congratulations to all of you for the best year ever, because it's still going, right? Can't really top what everybody's already said, other than, you know, your leadership is amazing, Mr. Smith, so thank you for that, for all the kids, the parents, and the staff, and thank you up here with us to just everything you guys do. Put in hours upon hours, and it doesn't always get recognized, but when you see the outcome of, you know, what's there, and like Ms. Birding said, that's probably a third or less of what truly happens. And when you see it all together, it just magnifies the greatness that we have here in this district. And I'm very proud to be on the board. I'm very proud of our school and all the teachers that work hard, the staff and the cafeterias, the facilities, just everyone just comes together. And when you see the ball team get donations for the community, and the community work together for the other clubs, and the kids working together for younger kids. What just a together that's the word I was looking for. Camaraderie of just fellowship and serving each other. Just amazing. So, just fantastic. Thank you so much for everything you guys do. Appreciate it. As a parent, I appreciate it.
As my fellow board members have said, this is really a highlight reel of what we've done, and there were a whole lot of aha moments there. I certainly remember our time at West Elementary and working with the students. So much fun. I see one of the pictures. We went over it quick, but the middle school students to Washington, D.C., it looks like they're standing maybe at Arlington Memorial Cemetery in front of Taylor Brzezinski's.
I think that
Yeah.
probably was that picture.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Great stuff, Mr. Smith, staff, leadership team, just great stuff. Thank you.
Thank you.